What's up, guys? Today I'm going to share with you the single most powerful question that you can ask before you go into problem-solving mode. This is a simple framework that has helped me countless times, and I default to it now just so instinctively it doesn't even cross my mind. But Anuj pointed out the other day that in the last week, both with him and with a coaching client, I used this question in both instances, and he's like, "Oh, is that part of a framework?" And I was like, "Actually, it is." And so let me give a little context. So I was working with a client last week, and he runs this fantastic real estate business. He has a lot of success in that industry, but now he wants to take that knowledge and he wants to share it with the world. He wants to coach and consult other people on how they can do the same. Right? So he's starting this coaching business, but his fear, his concern that he expressed was, well, if I share with them all like the secret sauce of the things that are working over here, then they're just going to go out and they're going to start competing with me in my market. And so his struggle was, I want to create the best product possible, but also in creating the best product possible, it's going to cannibalize my other business. And so that's the starting point for the session, right? And the very first question that I ask is simply, is that true? Is it true, this belief you have, which states, if I train these people on how to do the secret sauce stuff that I do, they are then going to go out into the marketplace, use that information, and they're going to steal my market share? Is it true? Now, on the surface, it sounds true. It sounds real. Like the more people that have access to this information, the more likely they are to go out and saturate the industry, and therefore the harder it is going to be for you to compete, right? On the surface, that's true, but the backup question that we have to ask is this true? And how do we know it's true? Can you show me in the past where you've taught somebody your secret systems, they've gone out into the market, and now they are outshining you, they've taken a meaningful chunk of your business? Show me where that's occurred. And when you ask these questions, is that true? And then how do I know this is true? You start to realize that you're operating under these false paradigms that you've created in your mind. And the truth is that our beliefs limit us far more than reality. And this is a perfect example of that, because as you look at it, in his situation, there was no proof, nothing that you could point to, no examples of students that had done this before and taken his other business away from him. And instead, I painted for him a picture. I said, okay, you're operating in this paradigm that the more people you teach, the more competition you're going to have in the future. However, I would present to you that the more people that you teach, the more potential partners you'll have in the future. If they know your systems, your processes, they can go out and they can deploy that. And you could take a share of that. You could partner with them. You could do a franchising model. So as they succeed with the processes that you've already shown, then you are also going to grow. Conversely, what if, because your real estate empire over here, you have this number of businesses that are all ancillary to the core of your business that service your business? So, you have legal, you have accounting, you have property management, you have titling, right? You have all these other businesses that you use because they create this internal synergy. Now, if you go and you teach everything that you have to these students, whose businesses are they going to rely on for those core functioning services, right? Those products that they need. And he's like, well, I guess I could easily sell them on my other stuff. I was like, exactly. So there's so many different ways where by sharing what you know, it actually increases the size of the pie for everybody. And so this is the very first question that you'd always ask is this true? And when it comes to your business, question any assumption that is by nature a finite game. If your assumptions as a default human being with your pessimism and fearing that somebody else is going to come take your resources, it's your natural prerogative to operate from the position that there is only so much to go around, and that by doing something, it's going to take away from what you have if somebody else succeeds, right? That's the default state of being a human. And so I strongly encourage you to look hard at those assumptions first and foremost, because in almost all instances, they're not true. Most of the games that you're playing in this life that are worth playing are actually infinite games. They are not zero sum. They are not winner takes all. It's winners take more and create more, and in taking and creating more, they get more. That's the reality. And so whenever you're operating from this position of limit, this is the question that you want to apply to it. And this is first principles thinking. This is something that all the great entrepreneurs talk about. Elon Musk is a really big proponent of this, which is just simply asking ourselves, does this violate some known law of physics? If it doesn't, then it is possible. Right. So when Elon wanted to launch these rockets to space and he wanted to do it at 1/100th the cost, and he wanted to launch a rocket to space and bring it back to the ground and land it, people are like, that's impossible. He goes, well, show me where it's violating the laws of physics. And they go, well, okay, it's not violating any laws of physics. It's just really hard. Cool. That's a different thing. Being really hard versus being impossible are completely different things. And so him starting from that position of people telling him that's not possible. And he goes, well, is that true? Is that true? And people will say, well, of course it's true. Of course you can't do that thing. And he goes, okay, show me how you know it's not true. And they go, well, okay, if I have to show you the math, then I guess the math does show that it is possible. It's just very difficult. And those are very different operating paradigms. And so that's the very first question that you should always ask yourself before diving into any opportunity or problem solving session, is just ask yourself, question the assumption. Is this even true? Is this even a problem? How do I know this is a problem? And in asking that question, 9 times out of 10, you realize that you're operating under a false paradigm. You've created a situation in your mind that reality does not reflect. And so if you want to unlock growth inside of your life and inside of your business, it's critical that you operate as close as possible to the reality of the situation and not be deferred or deterred by your limiting preconceptions. So that is the question. Is this true? And how do I know this is true? Start there. Everything gets easier. And that's going to do it for me, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.